Amazing, ain't you provider? Whisper your name from the deepest blue. Amazing, ain't you provider? Sing your soul back, sing your soul back home.
Well, hello everybody. If I could have your attention, Kalita. No, clearly not. So it's nice to have you here today and grateful. Thank you. Very grateful that we could get together. We're at a difficult time, aren't we, where there are issues throughout the world because of faiths and people having differences in faith. And I think this is such a lovely opportunity where we can act and be with people who have differences, different beliefs to us, but that we can spend time with each other and get to know people as individuals. I'm the chair of Swansea Interfaith Forum. And we've organised the event this evening and we're very grateful for Steve coming to help us here. We'll begin with a word of prayer, and Celia, who's the, I never know your title, second in command I always refer to you as.
Vice Chair.
Vice Chair, that's the one. And she's of the Baha'i faith and she'll introduce the prayer.
I'm going to introduce Derek, who intends to read for me. I'm really intelligible, thank you. Go on then, I'll go at the front, yeah.
So should you at the front?
Up to you, as long as we can hear you.
Yeah, I see, I'm a bit quiet, so I better share. Shout over here. O thou merciful God, O thou who art mighty and powerful, O thou most kind Father, these servants have gathered together, turning to thee, supplicating thy threshold, desiring thine endless bounties from thy great assurance. They have no purpose save thy good pleasure. They have no intention save service to the world of humanity. O God, make this assemblage radiant, make the hearts merciful, confer the bounties of the Holy Spirit, endow them with a power from heaven. Bless them with heavenly minds, increase their sincerity, so that with all humility and contrition they may turn to thy kingdom and be occupied with service to the world of humanity. May each one become a radiant candle, may each one become a brilliant star, may each one become beautiful in colour and redolent of fragrance in the kingdom of God. O kind Father, confer thy blessings, consider not our shortcomings, shelter us under thy protection, remember not our sins, heal us with thy mercy. We are weak, thou art mighty. We are poor, thou art rich. We are sick, thou art the physician. We are needy, thou art most generous. O God, endow us with thy providence. Thou art the powerful, thou art the giver, thou art the beneficent.
Thank you. And then if I can just...
Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you.
Thank you. I forgot your name now. You've only just told me your name. What's your name? Derek.
Derek.
Thank you, Derek.
Call me what you like, as long as you don't call me late for dinner.
All right. Thank you, Derek. Bringing us in prayer. And Steve, thank you for coming to join us this evening in the Grand. I know it's one of your homes, really, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's lovely to be here, and it's lovely to talk to you always, Tim. I really enjoyed, we had an impromptu conversation a few months ago. We were recording some music for our friend Pam, who runs a brilliant organisation called Peacemaler. And Tim brought his camera, and Tim was recording didgeridoo, and I was recording Pam doing a rap.
Kind of, yeah. Yes, it was.
So we had an impromptu conversation outside. It was beautiful, and got me thinking about lots of stuff. And yeah, so it's a pleasure.
So it's through Peacemaler that we've met, and you've been quite a supporter of that. But you were telling me during that conversation that we had, which was filmed and can be found on YouTube and other places, you were telling me that your journey of faith has been rich and getting deeper, it seems, in recent times.
Yeah, I think so. I think, on one hand, I have to preface it with I'm a singer and a songwriter, not an expert on anything to do with faith or interfaith stuff. But I've, through music, found a way to express myself that is from my core, from my being, I think. And I think a lot of the time, music, I don't think I write it. I think it writes me, or it's from a different place. Now, I don't know where that place is, and it may be God, it may be a higher aspect of myself, I'm not quite sure. But through singing and using my voice, I found access points to deeper parts of myself. I've been able to unlock doors within myself, and it's been profound, and it's been strange, and sometimes odd and scary, and sometimes almost paranormal. I could say that too. But and part of my journey, if you like, that's such a hackneyed term and such a used term, but it is a journey, I suppose, is that I played, I don't know, I'm laughing, I played Jesus in a musical called Jesus Christ Superstar back in the mid-90s. And during that process, although it was within a kitsch 1970s musical, I found very profound connection with God, I think. During some of the, I got crucified over 400 times. Jesus only got crucified once. So I had time to reflect each crucifixion, what was going on, and I remember looking out, and this sounds so glib, but it is what it is. I remember looking out to the crowd, and some evenings we had nuns in, and vicars and holy people, and seeing their reaction, and our production was very visceral, it was very violent, especially the whipping scene, and the crucifixion was extremely violent. So watching people just weep at theatre, because it was theatre.
Yeah.
But within that, I definitely glimpsed something of God or the divine or the Christ consciousness or whatever you want to label it as. I definitely felt it. It definitely moved in me and through me and with me.
Well, I know that Andrew Lloyd Webber felt that you really felt what you were doing, that it was real for you.
It was real in the moment, and luckily again, we were surrounded by an incredible cast, incredible musicians, so everything every component part of that theatrical experience was of the highest caliber. It was exquisite. People were the best of the best, and I was lucky enough to be in that kind of position. But and this is another thing I remember witnessing, was that sometimes, you know, and you're in a long run, you're in a run for a year. Sometimes people are wondering what they're going to have for tea, who's having an affair with who. A lot of that went on, and lots of stuff behind the scenes. But sometimes the whole of the ensemble, the whole of the company moved like one animal, like one machine. And when that happened, it was almost like there was electricity. And then there was, and of course, whenever you're doing any theatre, people witnessing and watching are also participants in it. In anything, we are participants in the experience. So there was an exchange, an energetic exchange of what was happening on stage, which is very visceral, and an archetypal story. Whether you believe in the story of Christ or not, it's now so deeply embedded within our subconscious that it's become archetypal. You see Christ on a cross, it kind of resonates somewhere. And there were several esoteric things that happened around that. Very, very strange things, but beautiful. And I was very lucky to crash into that world for a minute and see what that was. But that really started my deep conversation, inquiry into, you know, what is this? What am I doing? Why am I here? What, you know, and all of the normal questions you ask yourself if either you've smoked too much marijuana or you've been crucified 400 times.
Yeah.
So I definitely had a glimpse into something, you know, and I don't know what that is. Possibly God. I think it was God, you know.
So let's explore that a little bit after perhaps you. I know that you're writing, continually writing songs, and you've already said you don't necessarily know where they come from.
No.
They write themselves or they write you.
Sometimes.
Would you sing a song?
Yeah.
for us?
So I'm going to do three little things tonight. So this, I hardly ever write on my own. I always write with other people. I love exchanging ideas. My friend Dave in the front. We run a youth music initiative upstairs at the Grand, and Dave is part of it. He's taught me loads of chords really in the last couple of weeks. So this song I wrote myself, and I've been you know, the angelic realm, angels are, you know, fertile ground for songwriters or poets, and because it's such a provocative image, and you know, what are they, who are they, do they exist, are they real? I definitely think that some form of the other exists. I definitely do, and I think I've over the years, you know, been in contact with the other. So for a few years I started painting angels, and yeah, and then this song just came, and it's actually on, it's a hard sell here, it's on Pam's CD, £10 at the merch desk. But and I don't know what it is about really, other than, well, have a listen. It's called Calling My Angels.
Calling my angels, come down for me. Calling my angels, tonight I need a little reprieve. Somewhere amongst the feathers and the bones, way up beyond the tree line is my home. Calling my angels, come carry me. calling my angels, whisper to me, calling my angels. Tonight I promise I will believe. Graceless age, who burnt the witches that were sent to save us, calling my angels, come carry me. Calling my angels, come down for me. Calling my angels, tonight I need a little reprieve. When only dust and memories remain, ancestor that's worth a claim, calling my angels, come carry me. Calling my angels, come carry me.
There was a lyric there, who burned the witches that
Yeah.
came to save us.
Yeah.
Religion has much to answer for.
Yeah.
What draws you to interfaith? Is it getting under the surface?
I think so. Yeah, getting under the hood, because there's a lot of intersections with all faiths, as we're seeing right now. Some of that can lead to some interesting times. That lyric about the witches, it was Bridges originally, but I thought, no, I'm going to be brave with it, because, I think there's a re-emergence of the divine feminine. I think there has been for a long time. I think, the persecution of the witches is another metaphor of the persecution of women, and we're seeing lots of that right now in places like Iran and so on. So so I wanted to put that in, because I think some of that witchiness is a pushback, or some of the persecution of the witches being, maybe a metaphor for women, maybe. I think there's a pushback to the re-emergence of the divine feminine, I think. And I think the more we can integrate that into our conversation and faith conversations, I think the better.
It's coming into Christianity more and more as well.
Absolutely, yeah, which is great.
And throughout the faiths, to some extent. So you spoke about the other. So you know the other in some way, in a way that, as much as we can ever say, I know God, or I know the divine. But so, do you pray? Do you have a way to communicate?
I do pray. We talked before. I got a friend who's a Seventh-day Adventist, or I got that wrong. He's not a Seventh-day Adventist. He is a Christadelphian, but he's a branch of Christadelphianism, if that's a word, which is even more kind of what's the word I'm looking for? It's a fringe, on the fringes of Christadelphianism, the Christadelphians. And he's been talking a lot about, he's been sending me stuff about scripture and what's happening right now. And I find it amazingly interesting that a lot of biblical stuff seems to be playing out. So, and we were having this conversation a few years ago, and of course, as we're seeing stuff unfold in Israel and Palestine, he was like, remember I was telling you this a few years ago? Anyway, so that's it. I find that interesting. So that even if you take the Bible as metaphorical or allegory, or somebody got it right, you know what I mean? Or it's a hell of a coincidence. So I find that really interesting and curious. So he did this he sent this thing to me about praying every day for a month. So I carried on. I carried on doing that and kind of doing it with scripture and reading some stuff and getting back into that, because having played Jesus, I had to read a lot of stuff about, on both sides, people who said that they don't even think Christ existed, and there's lots of arguments for that, and so I kind of tried to be balanced in the reading I've done, and I still do. So yes, I do, but I also am very interested in pilgrimage, as we've talked about before, and the idea of using the landscape, and in Wales we have so much beautiful landscape, and using that as a kind of an expression of the divine, and then going out into the landscape and becoming part of the landscape. I find that is very enriching for me, and the Gower especially, all around Gower.
And the myths of many faiths, the divine expresses herself through nature, through creation, right?
Yeah.
So, is that always important? Has it always been a part of your life?
It's getting more, and maybe it's age or whatever, I don't know. And that's the other thing. Having, my dad passed away a year ago, and a good friend as well. So witnessing that kind of loss, I thought, when that happened, when both parents go, there's the buffer between us and death goes then. So there's no buffer, so I'm next. So being in that reality, which is what it is, has kind of focused my gaze towards, one, remembering who I am, and remembering to remember who I am, and then also I better get stuff done because I'm running out of road. So it's given me kind of the impetus to kind of go, let's get a move on here with art and with music, and so I'm part of a creative collective based at the Grand Theatre. I'm watching. I've had a glorious 2 weeks where we've watched a play written by a friend of ours called Tracy Jenkins, and she's got a kid with cerebral palsy. So the play is based on her life and her lived experience, as they now call it, is the buzzword. Her lived experience of fighting the system. It's called Mum Fighter, and there's a ring up in the depot above here that we've just had a sharing, they call it, of you develop the play, you pull it apart, and watching that happen, and then kind of getting a reality check of life. Other people are going through some pretty heavy stuff, but also being able to pivot that and turn it into a piece of art that's both informative and very moving. That's magic to me, and that's God working through that, or that's, it's trying to keep it at the highest expression of God, to bring that in. And when I was a kid growing up, I wanted to be a rock star and all of that interesting ego-based stuff. But when I look back now, I think it's both funny, slightly embarrassing, but also it was necessary to get me out of bed and kind of go and do what I needed to do to find out what it is. And I've always been curious as well, Father Tim, ever since I've been young, really, about what is this about. And I think I'd say as well, we're talking about the other, we're coming into a very interesting age. We're coming into an age of artificial intelligence, and we keep hearing that being talked about now. I've been on that train for a long time. I've been reading about that for 20 years. And up until a few years ago, I was thinking, why is anybody talking about this? Because whether we like it or not, or whether we agree with it or not, is coming, you know, and what that will throw up, I don't think anybody knows yet. And the fact, and I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but what I do know, it's going to shake things up massively. And it will shake up faith as well. Because if you have something that's seemingly outside of our, it's the uninvited guest in the folk tales, it's the uninvited guest. And with that comes all of, you know, the uninvited guest stuff. So I think, as well, I think we have to pay attention to it, but also not let it seep into our kind of fear, and because I think that will kind of dictate what the end result may or may not be. So I think the other is possibly that, you know, and we can get very, you know, esoteric if you like, and go way out there. But, you know, what if something outside of us is kind of stuck? Because I look at the atrocities that are going on right now, and I think that's not human. It's not. And I don't pay much mind to the devil or any of that, because I think that's a human construct as well. But there is something not human about what's going on. And I read it and I think, Jesus, you know, I think, what? So it's almost as if something else is kind of controlling what's going on. And it sounds conspiracy theory and weird, I know, but it's the only way I can square it right now, because that's not from love at all. It's from a very dark place.
So you're looking outside at the world outside of your being, and you're also at the same time
Trying.
It seems from the way that you speak that there's a sense of calling within you, a sense of divine purpose almost in your music, in your art, in your desire to turn things around within your own way you can, isn't it?
I think that's what we can try to do. And with art, I think where I'm going with I think where I'm going with my music is definitely towards a more spiritual is one word, but it's more devotional is another word, I suppose. But it's something other than look at me, isn't this cool? Because that's great, and it definitely has a place. But there's something else, and I think I'm part of some of my friends here tonight, and we discuss this stuff a lot. And I'm very lucky as well, in having been in music for the last 30 years. I haven't really, you know, I've been afforded the gift to be able to think a lot and express myself in a way that I feel very lucky. I meet extremely creative people, and we crash into each other in extremely creative ways. And I've been afforded the luxury to be able to think a lot about stuff like this. And it's definitely fed into the music.
So perhaps now is a good time. We will open this conversation up in a little while so that you can interact with Steve, maybe say something about your own journeys if it feels appropriate to do that, and ask him some questions about some of these themes that you've brought great depth in a short time. And we could go in a lot of different directions with that.
I love that.
So let's come for another song now.
I'd love to do that. So there's a place in London called Crossbones Graveyard. And Crossbones Graveyard is started by a guy called John Constable, who's a poet and an actor and a writer and a very crazy dude. He's a shaman, really. And he, after taking, by his own words, an heroic amount of psychedelics, one evening, he met what he claimed to be the ghost, I think it was of like a 17th century or maybe 16th century prostitute who lived and worked around the Southwark area of London, one of the oldest parts of London. So he claimed that he had a conversation, and he called it the goose. And he claimed he had a conversation with the goose. And this conversation turned into a poem, and it turned into a piece of art and literature, and he performed it as a kind of like a medieval kind of joker character who spoke this, and it's beautiful to watch. Then a few years after that, when they were carving up London to put in the cross link in, or the new Elizabeth line, they went through that area and uncovered a couple of thousand bodies of illegitimate children and prostitutes of that area, and he just happened upon it in this weird psychedelic trip. So he believed that the ghost of the goose came to speak. So I was so bewitched by this beautiful tale, and he's built this beautiful. He calls it the Crossbones Graveyard, and it's a garden you can go and visit, and people do pilgrimages there again, and it's an incredible place. So I called this Sing Your Soul Back Home. So I got a track here to play. Just bear with me a sec. And this is one of my favourite things I've been involved in. I wrote it with my friend called Tim Hamill. He's a great songwriter. And I can't remember any of the chords or any of the words, so that's why I've got it written down on a tape. So it's a Sing Your Soul Back Home. And this is, again, and John Constable, or John Crow as he calls himself, his kind of alter ego, he talks about this being the re-emergence of the divine feminine.
Angel provider whispers your name from the deepest blue. The payphone is broken, the call in the family, lost the connection, sending my love down the wire to you. It's written deep in our bones, the peace that we gave away at last is coming home. Sing your soul back, sing your soul back home. Watching our memories play like a movie, beautiful flowers cover our bodies asleep down there. A room with no number, the door is left open, bed in the corner, lovers are left coming up for air. It's written deep in our bones, the peace that we gave away at last is coming home. Sing your soul back, sing your soul back home. Sing your soul back. Silence, call to remember history written in me and you. I dream of the river that carry me easy, ancient provider, ancient provider. straight deep in our bones. The peace that we gave away is coming home. See your soul back, see your soul back home, see your soul back, see your soul back, see your soul back home, see your soul back. See your soul back, see your soul back
Thank you.
Sing your soul back home.
Yeah.
Is that what we do when we play music?
I think we do. I think music is medicine. I think it's a connection with ourselves and the divine, as I said before. I think we do. And I've talked about this a couple of times before, but when my mum passed away, I studied with a woman called Jill Peirce. We talked about this in another conversation. Jill Peirce is a shaman, and she's a brilliant woman, actually. She's married to a guy called Rupert Sheldrake, who's this heretical biologist who's now become this kind of world-renowned expert on this thing called morphic resonance. That's another story, but he's a genius, and Jill is too in her own way. And she teaches a form of devotional singing. She wants to kind of re-enchant us because she believes we've become disenchanted. And she talks about music when it was recalibrated in the 17th century. It actually went out of tune with us, and it went out of tune with the sacred geometry. The music of the spheres, the Pythagorean, the cosmic spiral. It's all interrelated. It's all interconnected. And again, we can argue that that's too much of a design to be, accidental. So, for example, the shell of a snail, kind of the sacred geometry of our ear, all the way up to the spiral nebula that we're in, is all based on the same mathematical principles. So and she teaches a thing based on Mongolian throat singing, which I can show you a little bit of. And you basically tone a note, and you hear the fundamental fundamental parts of the note ring like bells. So the harmonic series rings like a series of bells. And what that does, it brings us back into the moment with ourselves, and it brings us back into harmony with who we are and our bones, and that's why when we go into Chartres Cathedral or beautiful places of amazing masonry and geometry, we kind of feel something because it's resonating with us. That's what's happening. So she taught this principle. I'll show you quickly. You probably hear it because it's got quite popular over the last few years. But basically, you tone one note. It's not singing. You tone a note, and then you move the shape of your mouth. So you accentuate the harmonic. And all of sound is harmonics. That's what sound is. It's harmonics, and it's how we hear and differentiate the different harmonics is what makes the sound. But anyway, I'll do this. So. The overtones. So that can be used as a form of devotional singing. It can be used as, and in Mongolia, they do it, they call the horses back across the plains. Anyway, so Jill...
In a very beautiful way.
In a very beautiful way, yeah. Instead of going, come on, get over here. So Jill taught that, but that was her trick to get people to kind of start thinking about re-enchanting themselves, and therefore, as if we do it, then it kind of expands out. But one thing she talked about during, I did over about 5 or 6, maybe 7 years, many week-long residential deep dives into her world, and it's based on, you know, although she's a Christian, she brings in Buddhist ideas and tantric ideas and some Zen Buddhist stuff, and so she talked about how in Buddhism they sometimes, for the holy people, they chant before, as the holy person is dying, they chant and sing to the person who's dying before they die, as they die, and then after, because they believe that hearing is the first sense to come in the womb and the last one to go when we die. So we are attached to sound and we are attached to hearing stuff. So when my mum passed, my brothers and myself were able to sing her away. So as she was dying, we were just chanting some random notes and harmonizing. I got two brothers, and it was the most incredible thing happened, because we were chanting and being in the sound, witnessing, and what it allowed us to do was really witness our mother passing, our mother going. And because she was a lovely singer and she sang to us as kids, we were able to give that back to her as she was going. It was amazing. And my brother Mike, who was the youngest, he would, I remember a couple of times he stopped singing and came out and got into the drama of, shit, our mother's dying, and started weeping, and then gradually came back into the sound, and then that drama went, and we were just being present with our mother dying. It was just amazing. Amazing. And when I spoke to Jill then, she said, well, in certain traditions that would have honoured the lineage of the mother. So, and this was years ago, and she said if you have a daughter, it would kind of almost honour and heal the family lineage of the mother, the mother line, which I resonate really deeply with, the idea of ancestors. And you know, in certainly where I come, you know, in our house, so we hardly have pictures of our grandparents up, whereas in other cultures they put shrines up to them and honour the dead and so on. So I find that very moving, and that really moves me.
Seem to be able to move through, I mean, cosmic understanding and in time and space, with your sense of ancestry. Maybe now is a good time to open up, and if you'd like to just interact then with Steve, ask questions.
Hello. Abdul says that this is an age more feminine.
Is this?
Yeah. Abdul says that this is going to be an age more feminine.
Oh, really?
Really.
Wow.
Honestly. Yeah. He said us about, oh God knows, it's 18 something or other, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you mean, this age? What do you mean?
Well, the 21st and 22nd century, yeah. And going on from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I just want to say as well that my friend was chanting when my husband passed away.
Oh, wow.
Went.
It's powerful stuff. It's powerful stuff.
Just thrown away.
Yeah, because maybe we travel away into the sound, and we, you know, that's the way we were seeing it as well.
That's brilliant.
It's a beautiful thing.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Thank you. You, Moya, do you have anything to say there? My friend Moya, who's an Irish mystic.
Right.
Sorry, Moya.
That's quite an introduction.
But it's the truth.
It's an exquisite experience listening to you, because I think what you're describing is embedding spiritual awareness in what is generally a secular culture.
Yes.
And how important is that to you?
That's I think about that a lot, Moya. I think we are in a secular culture, and it's almost like it's an act of defiance to become a Christian now. You know, I look at it and go, becoming a Christian would be an act of defiance. And there seems to be, you know, and I love Ricky Gervais, and I've got loads of books by Richard Dawkins, I think he's great. But it's almost become like a cult of atheism. It's almost as fervent, you know, as the kind of fundamental anybody's. There's almost like a fundamentalism within it, which I don't know if that's helpful, but I think about it a lot, and I think for me, as I'm going deeper into my life and getting deep in the groove of my life, and I'll come on to something in a sec about that, I think I'm finding more spirituality in that. I think I'm finding, I'm lucky to have a group like you guys, so we can talk about this a lot, and we do, and we are able to have very, very deep, profound, esoteric conversations. You know, I can pick up the phone and go to any of these guys and go, you know, I've just had this experience, what do you think it is, and etc. So I feel very lucky. But I think maybe some people haven't got that, and I think that's a shame, because I think we do, especially now, we need something, man. We need something to believe in.
Yeah.
Which is a worry, because it can give rise to unsavory individuals who kind of may lead parties that people will go, yeah, I'm into this, because it'll, you know. Yeah, thanks, Maya. I don't know if I answered the question. But
Dev at the back.
Dan.
Just to point out on the feminine and the masculinity of the divinity or the divine. In Hinduism, for thousands and thousands of years, every divine person always had a consort with them. So Lord Rama had Sita, Lord Shiva had Parvati,
Yeah.
Lord Krishna had Radha. They always had a counterpart. And so I don't actually go into the depth of it, but one thing I have read, that Shiva always had two sides to him.
Yeah.
From one side you looked at him and you saw the masculine, and from the other side you saw the feminine. And it was very much equated to a simple way of understanding how the two things are together. Is if you imagine two wheels of a bicycle, right? They've got the same circumference, the same number of spokes coming out. You know, they're identical, the two wheels of the bicycle. Yet, we identify them as the front wheel and as the back wheel. By becoming the front wheel, you are no more important than the back wheel. And similarly, both wheels are important. And this equality of, not necessarily of status or position, or the women saying, if I wear the trousers, I'll become a man. It isn't about that. It's be whatever you are. That the equality, the feminine and the masculine, all are in one. It's just we don't recognize.
I love that. Thank you.
And in fact, just to add another thing to that, if the Guru Nanak, the first Guru of the Sikhs, according to Sikhism, with Hindu culture, they used to actually not let women into the temples or holy place or be any part of activity when they were doing their monthly cycle. Whereas with the Sikhs, Guru Nanak's one message was, it did not matter. You know, in the sight of God, you are not unclean anything. You are not feminine. You don't have to be put down. You know, so the equality was given all the time.
Men and women perfectly equal in the marketplace as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
Steve, do you think you are still on that road, on that journey, searching for truth kind of thing, for a faith that you're not quite sure yet what that might be?
Maybe. Maybe. I think I'm looking for myself. I think that's what I'm looking for. I think that as I said, I've always been interested in unlocking doors within myself to find out where I am and who I am, and without being navel gazing and self-interested. It's not that. It's a wider thing, I think. But yeah, maybe I'm searching. Maybe I'll always be. But I think that's okay. I'll see what happens when I get there. But within that, there are definitely glimpses of the divine, without a shadow of a doubt, and seeing stuff and experiencing stuff that has made me realise that this isn't it. This is only part of it. We see from physics, we see a tiny slither of the spectrum of light and everything else. So we're only seeing a tiny bit of anything anyway. So I think that, well, I know this isn't it. This is just a part of it.
We see through a glass darkly, don't we?
Yeah, exactly.
I have a question for you.
I have no answers, by the way.
I'll ask anyway, you can say whether you can answer. How do you know then you have found the divine? How will you know, not knowing what you're looking for? Are there any fundamental principles?
From a musical point of view, it's when I kind of disappear from view. It sounds so weird, but I've been feeling like I'm transparent, like a ghost, and not in a I'm gonna check out. It's not that. It's almost as if, and with music especially, I can get to a place where I'm not even there. I'm something else, and I'm almost. Oh, this sounds so glib. When you try and put into words, it's just the only thing I can speak to is through music, really. So through music, I've been at certain places with music and song and my voice especially, that I've unlocked a part of myself or gone, yeah, that's what I've done. So that's when I know something's come in, and it's like a resonance. It's like a hum. It's like a background hum. And sometimes if I'm in the right space with, a note or something, it kind of, the hum gets louder, and that's when I know I'm getting close. That's the only way I can describe it as. It sounds bloody bonkers, but well, I am bonkers, so I don't care.
It sounds similar to a lot of people who engage in contemplative prayer and prayer without words, discovering the deeper self, and discovering your true self perhaps. You spoke about the ego being strong earlier on. I want to be a rock star, and how that doesn't satisfy now. And you've spoken about how all that seems to fade away when you sing now.
Yes.
Like a ghost, you used that imagery, but as if that self-concern has dropped away somehow. So
that's a great way of putting it. That's exactly what it is. But again, I don't think ego is a bad thing. I think it's absolutely necessary for lots of things. Yeah.
But it's less in the driving seat, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. And that's right. It's in the back seat now, not driving. And something else is emerging that's helping me drive, or sometimes.
You seem quite excited about that.
I'm very excited about it. I am, because I think I'm moving towards some project, and I don't know what it is, but it's kind of being visioned into existence, I suppose. That will kind of have elements, I think, of all of this. Yeah.
Are you able to stay present now and enjoy this, or are you looking to the future?
I'm pretty present, and I try to, again, with walking in. I love Pencloud, and I love a place called Herman Chapel. It's one of the. And I said I took my little boy. My friend got buried there recently. Mark Thomas, an amazing composer.
Oh, yeah.
He composed. Amazing guy. Beautiful guy, actually. Very generous man. Great composer, great musician, and he composed two of my favourite films: Dog Soldiers, brilliant British horror film, and Twin Town. And he also did Shaun the Sheep. But he did loads of other brilliant stuff. And he's buried in Herman, so I have another reason to go there now and see it. But I went there recently with my little boy Frankie. He said, "Why do you love it so much here?" I said, "Oh mate, look at it." And it looks out over Crofty, and it looks out, down towards where you are.
Yeah.
And I said, look at it. And I was like, yeah. He was like, yeah. He's only 12 now. And I said, I think I'm going to get buried here. He went, Jesus Christ, Dad, that's dark. Well, I may be. I may be buried there. But I went there first when I was about 17. A friend drove there. And as I was looking around, I saw an old school friend of mine had passed away, and I didn't know, and he was buried there. And so maybe it's that, maybe it's the... But I just love that area. I think it's a very sacred... All Gower is ancient and sacred and beautiful. And you were talking about pilgrimages there. I would love to come, and I know some of my friends would love to come on a pilgrimage.
Oh, we'll walk soon. Well, let's do it in the winter with the rain and...
Oh my, yes, please. It's brilliant.
Bring some wellies, huh?
Bring some wellies and, yeah, a whiskey,
A whiskey.
hip flask.
Yeah. Wonderful, Steve.
I got one more song, if you
Great,
like it, to wrap up, and it's the song from the play that we were working on the last 2 weeks. I love the song so much. So the writer of the play is called Tracy Harris or Tracy Jenkins, and as I said, it's about her. It's about her life and how she's fighting the system for her little boy. And the play is going to be called Mum Fighter. It'll be on next, probably about a year's time. But during and how these things happen, you're in a room full of creatives. In this case, a couple of brilliant actors and some brilliant producers and directors, and over a couple of weeks, the script gets pulled apart. And we had an incredible actress called Katie Payne, who I'd not met before, from Pontypridd originally, and she's the voice of Lidl. So she makes a ton of money as the voice of Lidl, and then does projects that she wants to do. But she was just so amazing, and had to learn incredible amounts of script, like pages and pages of script in a couple of weeks. And I sing a bit of this song at the end of the play. I had five lines, and I had to have a bloody thing. So, and how this came, I've been wanting to write kind of a hymnal song for a long time about, and I've had something come, and I'm like, oh, I'd love to write a little, really simple chorus that's quite hymnal and quite sing-along-y. And then when I was listening to this, and there's an element of pressure, although it's called a research and development, an R&D, where in theory, nothing, you can just, at the end of it, you don't have to show anything. So that how it works is the Arts Council give you some money, you bring a load of creatives together, you work on the piece. And but there is an element of, I've got to do something. So I was brought in as the songwriter. I was like, I better write a bloody song quick. So I looked through her amazing script and I pulled out a few lines. It's called Change the World.
I hit myself so hard against the world just to feel something, feel something. I find teeth to fit the scars, and I watch it all unfurl just to be something, be something. One day you're gonna change the world. One day you're gonna change the world. One day you're gonna change the world. One day the world will change. One day the world will change. I stitch myself in time. Oh, I watch it all unwind, just to free something. Free something. One day you're gonna change the world. One day you're gonna change the world. One day you're gonna change the world. One day the world will change. One day the world will change.
I think we should.
Perhaps interfaith dialogue is part of this change. Let's hope and pray for this.
Yeah.
And that love can be released by
Yeah.
people of different faiths coming together. Well, your son said to you, Jesus Christ, Dad, that's dark. There cannot be light without dark.
Exactly.
But Steve, you brought us so much light tonight.
Thanks, Father.
I just want to thank you for
Thanks, mate.
sharing
Thanks.
so deeply from your heart, playing your beautiful music.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
And thank you for doing all this work. And I'm really drawn to the interfaith thing. I think it's a beautiful thing. And obviously, Pam, there's some CDs of Pam. Just for a little bit of hard sell.
She's here when she's not here.
She's here. She's everywhere. She's omnipresent. This Pam. I love Pam so much. So thanks, man. And I just love talking. I love what you're about. And yeah.
Right.
And please just do that pilgrimage.
Pleasure to be with you. We'll do it in the next weeks if you're around. If
Great.
you're staying in Swansea now.
Yeah, man. That'd be
For a
great.
bit. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your interaction and coming all the way from Ireland in this country.
Tipperary as well.
I don't want to, but I'm sure somebody will.
My phone's turned off.
Okay, I've got one. Can I just add my thanks, and I'm grateful for everybody who's helped and supported and provided funds so that we could come here today. And thank you. If you want to be aware of other things that we're doing in the Interfaith Forum, just pass us your email and we can, we promise we won't bombard you hugely, but we will let you know of other events in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Celia wants a group photo. And I hate organising those things. Is there anybody who's an extrovert here?
Probably not.
Gareth's a brilliant photographer. Come on, Gareth.
There we go.
Calling my angels, come down for me. Calling my angels, tonight I need a little reprieve. Somewhere amongst the feathers and the bone, way out beyond the tree line is my home. Calling my angels, come carry me. Calling my angels, calling my angels. Tonight I promise I will believe. Am I a pilgrim in a graceless age, who burned the witches that were meant to save us? Calling my angels, come carry me. Calling my angels, come down for me. Calling my angels, tonight I need a little reprieve. Where only dust and memories remain, I pray I'll be the ancestor that's worth the claim. Calling my angels, come carry